I was scared. I was like, how can this lump just do this? It started coming up, then it was going down, then it started coming up, and then it just stayed. Hi friends, welcome back to the channel. Glad to have you guys here for another video. Thank you guys so much for sticking around. If you're here for the first time, I am Nai. It's so good to meet you guys. Thank you guys for just being here. I hope that you guys would enjoy the videos so that you guys can continue to watch anything that is about teaching, being mindful, spirituality, or just the whole everyday work, guys. So let's get right into the video for today. In today's video, I'm going to be answering a question. It's nothing new. It is something that I get all the time. So let's just talk about it. Am I really ready to talk about it? Yeah, I am. Let's get right into it. The question is, what is that thing on my hand? Ooh, yeah, it is this hand. So there is something right here on my hand. Some of you guys, you may be familiar with it, while some of you may not have a clue. Just seeing a lump like that, you wonder, what is that? I was like that too. When it surfaced, I was very, very fearful of what it could be. For viewers' discretion, you would hear the word cancer in this video. So if that is something that triggers you, then I would advise you not to watch the rest of the video. A little bit of backstory, guys. This lump, it surfaced in 2012. When it started coming up, I was like unsure, and I think because I was unsure and like being curious at the same time, like it presented this whole fearful feeling. Yeah, I was fearful of what it could be. We know that when lumps appear, it's like some kind of issue, like it can be like a cyst or some sort of inflammation, or the really, really scary one, the C word, cancer. So I was like really, really, really scared at that time. However, at that time, I was still a bit in two minds, because at that point, I was very busy training students at my school for a netball competition, and I had a lot of work doing, especially with the shooters. Right, so you guys who don't know that I used to be a netballer, my three main positions were center, wing attack, and goal attack. So with me training these students, preparing them for a game that they were never exposed to before, it was like really rigorous. Training was intense. It was every day. And then I also used to help out a lot with administrative work at my school, like operating the computer, the printer, and also I used to like do a lot of typing and that kind of stuff. It used to take a lot, like when it comes to my hands at work, a lot. At that point, I felt as though working my hands a lot had to do with this presenting itself. But then I was saying, why would it present itself on one hand and not on the other? So, like that had me to like thinking beyond. When I get to it to like engage in research, I noticed that it could be the same things that I would have said, inflammation or cysts or cancerous. Whether I was for it or not, the tension, it just started to build. I was operating in uneasiness for a period of time. When it started, what happened is that it was coming up like as a little lump, and then was giving off this dull, slight feeling of pain. But it was like pain like when you just get like a sore, the pain that you normally feel at the start of it. So I was not taking it on for a while. Sometimes I used to rub it, and then it would just like disappear for a while, then it would come back. And What happened is that it seems as though it was coming back bigger. Then it would do that for a while, a period. And then I say, you know what, let me just leave it and just monitor it. So like I left it for about 3 months and just was monitoring it. Sometimes I would forget. Then eventually it came up and it never went back down. Like, that was scary. So it just stayed there and there it was. All that it was giving off was this stinging feeling, like whenever it rains, or like sometimes when I walk my hand too much or lift heavy stuff. That was kind of like it's all like a dull pain. The pain would not be like sharp or intense. So anyhow, I decided, you know what, I'm gonna go and see a doctor about this. So I went to a doctor. I felt like the doctor was taking me like as a joke, because the doctor just looked at my hand and then held my hand and, you know, like feel it, that kind of thing. And then the doctor was like, this is not anything to worry about. You're fine. He's there saying, you're fine. And I'm like, fine? You're serious? Look, there's a lump here. So I was like thinking, is this doctor in his right mind? Is he serious? There's a lump here, something so obvious, and you're just taking it so easy. But then he said, I'm gonna show you why I'm saying that it's nothing to worry about. So he got a syringe and he inserted it into my hand. So I think the spot is still there. Yeah, the spot is still right there where he inserted it. And when he inserted the syringe and he pulled it, what I saw coming out of it, he was like, that's only fluid. It's just liquid. It's nothing to worry about. So it's not like you're building a mass or anything. At that point, it was like kind of a relief, like to hear him say that. But it was like taking like a little off, a little like that. That was like the feeling, not like everything had disappeared at once. Like all the feelings that I was feeling, no. Anyhow, after that, the lump, it decreased in size, so it went down a bit. But then by the next day or later on in the afternoon, it was up again, back to the size that it was. So I think this size hasn't really changed much from then to now. It has been constant, you know, like at the same size for a while, for the years. Because remember, this is 2022 and this was since 2012. After that, I felt some peace, but I was still very much curious. What made it even more curious at that point was that I had a friend, and this is normally very emotional. So I had a friend and she was feeling like ants bites, or she was seeing signs like ants was biting her. Well, that's how she described it, saying that these lumps, they come up like little lumps, fine lumps, like ants bite lump on her breasts. And I urged her to go to the doctor that I went to. After she went to the doctor, when she came back, she said, I have to do a biopsy. So it's, you know, painful that when her results came back, exactly what he thought was the situation. And so now I started taking the doctor seriously, because in her case, he was actually examining the situation to be something more. This is very emotional. I started like allowing what he told me about my situation to sink in, because I'm thinking here that he is like on point with his judgments. After all that, I took it for his word, and like I started researching more on this thing, and then I realized that it is something that is very popular, that it occurs in like a good amount of people. And I started just allowing it to be there, not really worrying too much about it. I mean, it is so noticeable, it is, very obvious. And people would like ask about it all the time. What's that on your hand? And yes, I know that it looks very unattractive. That's fine by me. Yeah. At first, it was not so fine. But now, today I can be very calm about it. It's just what it is. It has grown on me, and I just allow it to be what it is, for the moment. Well, not for the moment, but for some years now. Honestly, I cannot say that I never thought of getting rid of it. I did later in 2012, after, that whole episode that my friend, she was diagnosed with cancer. I felt like getting rid of it. I just didn't want that memory to be there. But then when I was about to get rid of it, that's when I started having like the problems with my autoimmune condition. So I started feeling the way that I was feeling, and then I was going through like hopping from doctor to doctor, trying to find out what my issue was and so on. And because of the constant feeling of being under every day, I just didn't want to go and get rid of this, and had to cause like further problems for myself. Because with this, the doctor said to me that in order to remove it, they would have to cut it, and on cutting it, they would have to like gash it, take out what's inside. Then they are gonna have to scar the area, something like that. They have to scar it, and once it is scarred, then the fluid would not have any way of escaping. That is the way that they would have to go. But for me, it's the sedation. With this, they had to give me some sedation. It was not to the level of putting me to sleep or anything, but just enough to deaden the area. But because of my constant battle, my heart palpitations, those kind of things, my doctors then, they would have warned about sedation, any level of sedation. So I did not take that lightly. I, just tried to stay away from that. I just didn't want to like have to just go through that. It was just like a situation where, because it wasn't like harming me or presenting any kind of threat to me, I just allow it to be there. Also, like there are persons who would have said to me, oh, you can hit it with a hardcover book or with a Bible. Some people call it a Bible sis. They said that you can hit it with one of those, it would just burst and may not appear again. While some persons said that it reappeared. Some persons said that they treated it by using kerosene oil and mafube, the middle of the mafube plant, I think is a flower, mixing it together with some other thing, and keep rubbing it every day. After a time, it disappeared. Some persons said that they applied heat to it in the form of those heat rubs and so on, and it helped it to disappear. But I don't know, like if I would end up at a point having the mini surgery, or if I would just get the nerves to like hit it with a book one day. I just don't know. Do I really have that nerve? It has served me to be like a distinct mark, or to be that reminder, that painful reminder of my friend's event. The fact that it is a distinctive mark. Sometimes you may want to do stuff with your hands, and especially if it is for a purpose of camera, you may not want to always be noticeable, or people, knowing that it's you, because of the fact that they know this mark on your hand. Another thing is that it's kind of like a bittersweet reminder when it comes to my friend, as she is no longer here with us physically, but she's always here in my heart and in my thoughts, in my mind. That's what makes it sweet, because it's like it's a constant reminder of her faith and her hopes, and like just the strong and courageous woman that she was. She was just a total encouragement, and I'm sure that that would live on in many lives that she would have touched. But then it becomes bitter, like seeing it and reminiscing. That's a painful part of it. It's like very, very painful. It never gets easy. Battling with the whole bittersweet kind of vibes when it comes to the ganglion cyst, the ganglion or the ganglion cyst. Depends on your pronunciation of it. Honestly, I really don't know which route I'm gonna take when it comes to this. If I'm gonna keep it or if I'm gonna get rid of it. I mean, even though some of my symptoms are like, resurfacing, they are not like intense. And lately I was able to go to the dentist and get a procedure done with little discomfort, without much problems or side effects arising. So I might just be able to get rid of it if I want to get rid of it. But I still haven't made up my mind. I'm still, unsure as to, which course I'll take. So I guess, God's willing, later on in the future, we'll see what happens. But if I do get rid of it, it would not be because of me looking at it in terms of the whole appearance or unattractiveness. It would not be like from a physical point of view, but from more emotional. Yeah, so if you guys have experience with ganglion cyst and you guys have stories to share, please guys feel free to comment in the comment section. I know that these stories, they are relatable. You might just be able to relate to it. If you know someone who has one and they are trying to deal with it, then I hope that they are able to get it dealt with in the best way. I want to thank you guys so much for watching this video. Guys, just keep hoping, keep trusting. Remember to just keep faith, keep blooming in love, stay blessed. Until I see you guys in the next video. Until then, guys, later.